former ministers and appointees will no longer answer questions before the numerous inquisition panels and bodies established to harass and persecute them. Our national chairman is under any compulsion or obligation to assist the police, and the NDC will not allow him to honor
Also tonight, churches and Christian bodies on high alert following reports West African nations, including Ghana, could be target of jihadist attacks.
And we as churches, we should also be alert.
I'm very, very alarmed. That's why the council, in collaboration with security experts, in fact, this is the job of the national security.
We'll hear from Christian Council of Ghana and the Charismatic and Pentecostal Council as they demand security agencies provide more awareness on threats facing churches.
And in business, Bank of Ghana set to go after institutions and persons pricing of their goods and services in other currencies apart from the Ghana cedi.
And later in sports, they say lessons learnt in blood are not easily forgotten. But has the May 9th stadium disaster shaped the thinking and actions of the Ghanaian football community 18 years on? We'll hear from Asante Kotoko CEO George Amuaku.
And then later we'll tell you why President Akufo-Addo is piling pressure on Parliament to pass the anti-vigilantism bill.
The Ghanaian people want a result on this matter. So to the extent that my talk will allow that process to happen, that we get a quick result, I am going to continue down that line.
The president should not be worried about the slow pace. The president should be worried about who is pursuing an agenda in this house.
We have all that and more for you here on Newsnight. You want to join us with your views and comments? Send us a WhatsApp 0244 340437. My name is Evans Mensah. Complete and total withdrawal of cooperation. No NDC member, including former government appointees, will henceforth assist the police in any investigation. That is the decision of the party announced by the Council of Elders today. The decision was triggered by the CID's naming of the party's national chairman, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, as a suspect in recent cases of kidnappings and fire outbreaks across the country. In fact, lawyers of Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo have today written to the police to formally inform them of their decision not to honor the invitation, which expired at 2 p.m. We've been speaking to our police sources. We'll tell you what they tell us shortly. But first, listen to Alhaji Mahama Idrisu, who today addressed a news conference at the NDC HQ on behalf of the party's Council of Elders.
Latest invitation, in our view, is yet another case of intimidation and harassment being employed by the Nana Addo Akufo-Addo government, using the instrumentality of the police to instill fear in our chairman and supporters of our party and to suppress dissenting voices in the country. We are appalled that COP Mrs. Tua Addo Dankwa, a professional police officer who has risen so high as to be promoted to the rank of Commissioner of Police and appointed Director General of the CID, has allowed herself to be pushed into such an openly partisan position and the peddling of such a wicked lie against our national chairman. The position of the NDC, which we, the elderly members of the party's Council of Elders, have been reluctantly forced to endorse because of the times we are in, is very simple. Enough is enough. We have had enough of the vile intimidation and fortuitous threats. The NDC will not be muffled or unnerved by Police CID Director General, who has shown by all her actions to be a partisan and unbiased supporter, nay, member of the NPP. Our national chairman is under any compulsion or obligation to assist the police in their investigations, and the NDC will not allow him to honor that. NDC will not allow him to honor such vexatious invitation. If the CID wishes to arrest our national chairman, they can proceed to do so. We call on all our members to show solidarity with our national chairman.
And also today, at this news conference, the chairman of the Council of Elders of the party announced that the decision doesn't only affect someone, for example, for the national chairman who will not cooperate with the police, but now they are extending that directive to all party members, including former appointees who may already be assisting the police in other investigations. We'll go through some of the key investigations that we know are currently happening involving former government appointees and how that may be affected by this shortly. But listen to him.
Former ministers and appointees will no longer answer questions before the numerous inquisition panels and bodies established to harass and persecute them. Neither will they respond to the numerous intrusive and oppressive questionnaires administered to them. The living conditions of the ordinary Ghanaian are getting worse. What is needed is a conscious effort to determine the choices we have to make for our survival and sustainable development. This is what Ghanaians expect of our political leaders and representatives. Not political retribution and witch hunting, harassment, and humiliation.
So we know so far, so that latest announcement will affect a few cases. One of the cases that we know this will affect, you remember the double salary allegation that the CID was investigating sometime involving some former government appointees under the John Mahama administration who were also MPs who were alleged are taking salaries as MPs but also as ministers, and the police believe that was illegal. That probe is still ongoing, and a number of the former appointees have already been reporting to the CID, assisting with investigations and being questioned. This directive will affect that, which means that henceforth all these appointees will cease to cooperate with the police on this. We also know that recently Mahama Yariga, who is former information minister, former environment minister, was also subject to some investigation by the special prosecutor. It looks like that is also one of the cases that will also be affected by this directive. Also today, we got a letter from the lawyers of Samuel Ofosu Ampofo that we'll share with you shortly as we go on. And Elton joins me with a copy of that letter, in fact, written to the CID, informing them of their decision not to cooperate. What does this letter say, Elton?
Right, so they are saying that it is a common knowledge that our client, in this case, the NDC National Chair, Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, and one other person are currently the subject of criminal proceedings in court in criminal case, and they've quoted the case number between the Republic and Samuel Ofosu Ampofo and Anthony Kwaku Boahem. Now, the letter says that the charges against them arose out of investigation your office claimed to have undertaken into certain voice recording after the violence raiding Ayawaso West Wuogon parliamentary by-election. You'll recall that when your office claimed to have intercepted a tape, our client, upon honoring your invitation, was arrested and interrogated for several hours by your investigators on suspicion of having committed the offense of kidnapping, among others. Realizing that the statements contained in the unconstitutionally obtained tape could not sustain the charge of kidnapping against our client, your office immediately dropped that charge. Now, they're saying that having carefully reviewed your letter against the background of the ongoing prosecution of our client, we are unable to resist the conclusion that your invitation and so-called investigation into the kidnapping, arson, and other crime is collateral to the ongoing criminal trial, and that its purpose is partly to prejudice our client's defense. Further, our clients viewed the letter of invitation as reflective of an undeniable pattern of political harassment and intimidation which violates his fundamental human rights, particularly his constitutional right to personal dignity and political association that is devoid of intimidation and harassment.
And this is where they announce what the decision is, that on their part, they appreciate that every citizen indeed has a constitutional duty to assist law enforcement agencies in the discharge of their mandate. However, they say it is their considered view that the current invitation constitutes a gross abuse of the investigative and prosecutorial powers of the police as a public institution, and therefore, respectively, their view is that since their client is not under arrest for the alleged offenses, he's legally entitled to decline your invitation, and we have therefore advised him accordingly. And so today, in fact, at 2 p.m. when that expired, we checked with the CID, and indeed, some of Osampofo did not want an invitation. In fact, our CID sources tell us that subsequent, they have also received this letter, they confirmed receipt of this letter, and they also tell us that they have had conversations with lawyers of some of Osampofo, and it was cordial, they tell us, and that there is, they believe, there have been suggestions that the police can go ahead and arrest some of Osampofo. And in fact, if you listen to the NDC press conference, the Council of Elders make the point that if the police want to arrest him, they should arrest him, but he will not cooperate. The CID is telling us tonight that they will not arrest someone for Sampofo, and that they will take an approach that builds peace and security, one that is not antagonistic, but rather builds cooperation. And so they are not going to pursue a hard line on this matter, and that they tell us also that the conversations they've had so far with lawyers of Sampofo is one that indicates that at a later date, some of Sampofo will cooperate, and that they hope that was what will happen. But they're not going to take a hard line on this. We'll shortly be speaking to Dominic Ayine, lawyer for some of Sampofo, and also get a legal indication what the police's options are really on this matter. But I want to return to our top story tonight, which is the NCA's decision to shut down two NDC affiliated radio stations, XYZ and Radio Gold. I want to take you to the Information Ministry, where there's been a press conference which is still underway. I understand the NCA boss is taking questions. My colleague Komla Dome sat through that. Komla, what did the NCA boss say in explaining the decision to shut down these two stations?
Well, Evans, he was very brief. Joe Anoche mentioned that following from the spectrum audit which they carried out in 2017, which reveals some FM stations had breaches and had issues with their licenses, etc., the Electronic Communications Tribunal made a decision for the authority, which is the regulator in this space, by the way, to go after some of these stations, streamline the activities, ensure that those that are defaulting, get to pay some fines, or essentially get struck down if they default in paying these fines. So he mentioned specifically that the action they took today was just in accordance with the Electronic Communications Tribunal's decision for the NCA to go after such FM stations. Well, there was a question about why today, of all days, well, he mentioned that there were several occasions that the authority wanted to go after some of these stations, but it just happened that today they decided to calm down and they went after these two stations. Tomorrow, that exercise will continue, he mentions. And so it is part of a broader implementation of the Electronic Communications Tribunal's decision, which mandated the NCA to go after some of these stations that are breaching the laws. You recall, Evans, that sometime in 2017, Radio XYZ was fined some 4 million CDs. I think I was also fined 14 million CDs. Pravda Radio, now Vision 1, was also fined some 3 million CDs, as well as Atlantis Radio and Radio Gold. They were supposed to pay some fines for certain infractions, different categories of infractions that they may have fallen foul of. Well, the authority says, well, since that time, some of the stations have still not been able to pay up the fines, and so they have had to take the strong and tough decision to go after them and take the shutdown. So that's generally what the NCA boss has been telling the press here a short while ago, just a few minutes ago, Evans.
So far, we only know in Accra of Radio Gold and XYZ. Did the NCA boss give us any additional details if there are any other radio stations shut down today as a result of this infraction?
Evans, he did not mention, but in fact, the NCA doesn't say, apart from the two stations, that's Radio Gold and XYZ, any of the stations that have been shut down following their implementation of this tribunal decision. They are saying that the two stations that were affected today is just the first of a series of actions they are going to be taking and rolling out in the coming days. So from that, I understand that it was only Radio Gold and XYZ that were affected today. He mentions that from tomorrow, they will effectively go after the other stations. And of course, he fell short of mentioning names, but he mentions that tomorrow they will go after these other radio stations and we will have them shut down if they still are unable to clear the fines that were imposed on them sometime in 2017.
And Komla, so the thing though that the NDC has made a point of today is to question the coincidence of the shutdown, especially now that the NCA is saying that so far these are the only two stations that they've shut down in Accra. I wonder if the NCA boss has addressed that question about was this a coincidence or were the two stations targeted as the NDC is alleging tonight? Has he addressed that at all? Was there a political motive behind the decision to shut them down, even if they didn't have a license? I mean, has that question been put to him and has he explained it? Has he reacted to it?
Well, yes, Evans, that question was put to Mr. Anoche a short while ago, but he went around that question and mentioned that, well, as far as he is aware, as a regulator, there's no decision on their part to target any specific radio stations. It just happened that these two stations fell victim to the first of a series of reforms, as it were, that they are going to be rolling out in the coming days to sanitize the FM spectrum space.
Thank you very much. That is Komla Dom there speaking to us live from the press conference that is still underway. From what we understand, the NCA boss is taking questions from the audience. Well, a former mayor of Accra, who is also a member of parliament for that particular area, Oko van der Poel, today also visited the Radio Gold premises, and he's assuring that they will do everything possible to get Radio Gold back on air.
It's no secret that Radio Gold has been shut down, and we are trying to find out what are the reasons why it's been shut down, and then see what needs to be done so that it can come back to operation. As a radio station, it's the mouthpiece of, the people, and so the people must be able to express themselves, must be able to communicate, must be able to get information, must be able to, so it's important.
I want to take you back to the top story this hour, top of the hour, which is the decision of the National Democratic Congress to withdraw all cooperation as far as the police investigations are concerned, but also a letter that had been sent to the CID today by lawyers for Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, who is the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress. I'm delighted to say that I've just been joined by Dr. Dominic Ayine, who is lead counsel for Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. Dr. Ayine, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much for having me. But point of correction, I'm not the lead counsel for Ofosu-Ampofo. It's Tony Lita who is the lead counsel. I'm part of the team.
Okay.
I happen to have signed the letter.
Thanks for the correction there. Let me ask you this. The police confirmed that they've received your letter. Has there been any conversations with the CID on the back of this letter?
No, we haven't had any formal or informal conversation with them since we delivered the letter this afternoon.
Of course, 2 p.m. had expired. Is there, because our sources with the CID say that there's a sense that they won't arrest him because that's an option they could exercise, but they want to adopt an approach that builds cooperation rather than antagonism, and that they are hoping that at a later date he will assist. Is this something that you know of?
No formal communication to that effect has come through to us, but the national chairman has indicated that they've reached out to him. So we will be meeting with him for a briefing on that aspect of it.
Okay. In your statement to the CID, you say, further, our client views the letter of invitation as reflective of an undeniable pattern of political harassment. Where's the evidence to back this?
Well, look, we've been involved with the investigation and the interrogation from day one. And we, as lawyers, were witnesses to what happened, what took place at the police head office. And from our evaluation of evidence, we take the view, and we agree with our client, that this is unacceptable harassment of a national political figure, and that the police as an institution of state, a public service institution under the Constitution, should not use its powers in a manner that sends a signal that they are in cahoots with any other person or entity to harass people and violate their fundamental human rights. That is the view that we've taken, and that is why we communicated it to the head of the CID.
How is a police CID invitation to a citizen to assist in investigations because a suspect in the matter had mentioned his name, as you put it, unacceptable harassment?
Evans, it's not just the mere invitation, right? You would recall that he was, invited in the same manner. He honored the invitation. We accompanied him to the police head office. We spent several hours sitting down without any word from the police hierarchy for many hours. In fact, on one occasion, the former Attorney General, Tony Lita, Dr. Bamba, and myself sat down at the police station for close to 5 hours without a word from the police hierarchy as to what, we should expect. And, precious time is being spent just sitting down and waiting for the police to tell us what, to do. And you go into the interrogation room and then you don't spend more than 30 minutes and you leave. Okay? Now, these are all police tactics that are used on suspects, especially sometimes when you are dealing with hardened criminals, terrorists, and armed robbers, and so on, to tie them out so that at least during the interrogation, they will break down and maybe confess. But that is not how to treat the chairman of the largest opposition party in the country. And we take exception to the manner in which he was treated. And we think that this is also an opportunity for them. This invitation is an opportunity for them to treat him in like manner. And that is why we are saying that it's unacceptable harassment of a law-abiding citizen, for reasons that we think are politically motivated.
And that is the point about the political motivation in this. I mean, this is an institution that I'm sure because of your profession you work with, and you've worked with for a long time, you're convinced that that institution that you've worked with and an officer of the court has become politicized in the manner that they are operating, and as the party has expressed today, in the interest of the MPP and the Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Well, I don't know whether it is in the interest of the MPP and Nana Akufo-Addo. I haven't said that, Evans. But we all are in this country, and we know that our institutions, public institutions, are deeply politicized. That they tend to play partisan politics in favor of the ruling government. In what has happened, regarding the chairman, that is an inescapable conclusion, and that is why we have said the chairman has constitutional rights that must be respected. He's being tried in court. There's an ongoing criminal prosecution. His defense cannot be undermined, by a purported second investigation based upon the leaked tape. We think that there is an inextricable connection between the tape that was unconstitutionally intercepted by the police and the current attempt to investigate for kidnapping and arson. And that is why we are making the point that he should not cooperate with the police.
And if he doesn't cooperate with the police, of course, I mean, the police have told us, and this is our own sources, that they will arrest him. But, he opens himself up for that possibility.
Yes, he does open himself up for the possibility of being arrested. But, of course, we are also mindful of the fact that under the law, they need a warrant to arrest for probable cause. And they need to show, that there is, substantial evidence that he's committed a crime. So they are not just going to wake up one morning and say they are going to arrest him. They need to be able to obtain a warrant and convince the judge or magistrate that there is probable cause that he has committed an offense, and then they can effect the arrest. And of course, he has the right, under Article 19 of the Constitution, to remain silent, to be defended by lawyers, and so on and so forth. Those rights will be triggered, relied upon in order to defend him in court.
Tonight, the party's highest body, I guess, one of the highest bodies, the Council of Elders, held a press conference in which they even go beyond the decision not to cooperate with Samuel Osampofo and have directed that former party government appointees. And I know in the cases of, say, the double salary, for example, if I'm not mistaken, you have represented some of your colleagues in their interaction with the CID, correct?
That is so.
Okay. The party says that they will no member of the party, including former appointees, will cooperate with the security agencies on any of these matters going forward. Is that a decision that you support as well?
Well, that is a political question. It's not a legal question, and I will only answer legal questions at this moment.
Okay, I get it, but if you're a politician as well, you're a member of parliament. If you speak as a politician, is it a prudent decision to take by the party?
I am wearing a legal cap now, Evans, and I want to speak, to the legal issues.
Also because...
but let me say this, Evans. I'm a member of the party, all right, and I'm bound by decisions taken by the Council of Elders of the party, the National Executive Committee of the party, the Functional Executive Committee of the party, and so on. And as a loyal member of the party, I will abide by decisions that are rational and in the interest of the party as a whole, and as well as in the interest of the country. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that what the party's elders have said is not correct, but I will evaluate it within the context of what is going on, and then I will make a decision as to whether or not I'm going along with it.
Final question then, just based on what you said. You said you make your decision based on what is rational and in the interest of the country. Is this decision rational in the interest of the country?
Well, to be fair, I have not read the statement. At the time that the press conference was taking place, we were busy at the police station trying to deliver our letter, and I wasn't able to read the statement. I cannot, offer an opinion not having read the entire statement to be able to make up my mind whether or not, from the point of view of rational self-interest, and then also the larger interest and welfare of the country, this is something that we should be doing as a party.
I'm grateful that you joined us. Dominic Ayine is a member of the legal team for Samuel Osampofo. Let's get an independent view on this unfolding legal matter with the NDC and the security agencies, particularly the police. Yao Pon is a paralegal practitioner, joins us on the telephone line right now. Ms. Opon, so the NDC's decision is twofold. One, Samuel Osampofo will not cooperate, but beyond that, no member of the party, including former appointees, will cooperate going forward with the police. Is this what do you make of this decision, for example, and what are the legal options for the police?
Well, thank you very much. I think that I'll also go along with my own former lecturer, Dr. Ayine. I'm also wearing a legal cap. And if you may allow me, I would say that let the political cap pass by me and let's talk about law.
Legally, are they allowed under the law to take a decision like this when the police extend an invitation to a citizen to say, assist us with investigation? Legally, are they allowed to do that?
Well, we are in a constitutional dispensation, freedom of speech. We are allowed to express our thoughts and whatever is contained in our conscience. Our beliefs, we can also express them. Of course, it must be within the confines of the law. I think that we all have the opportunity to evaluate our decisions and make them known. It's up to those who may also feel that in expressing ourselves, we may have also violated the rights of others or the law. And then it is their duty to also take a decision or a judgment on it and apply the necessary processes or sanctions in the course of execution of their mandate as well. So, in my view, it is not really for me to determine the legality or otherwise of decisions that are taken.
Having said that, though,
well, what I mean is that there are other people who are mandated by law and who are, as it were, paid by the state to take decisions when or make judgments over decisions taken by others and also perform their functions.
And that's my next final question, which is one of those institutions with the police. What are the options that the police have now?
In the first place, I don't think the police have invited the NDC, and NDC has refused to go. The police has invited an individual as far as the publications that are in the public domain are concerned. The police know that if they need an individual, maybe to serve as a witness on their side, or to answer questions, or to prefer charges against them, or to aid them in investigating, they know that if the person fails or refuses to attend and is not deliberate, they know what to do. So I think that since the gentleman has in recent past or recently honored their invitation, albeit within maybe some few days after, I believe I have a reasonable expectation that he might honor it as well, because as far as I'm concerned, I haven't heard him say specifically by himself that he will not honor the invitation and the reason he may have had for refusing to attend to the call.
Yapan, I'm grateful that you joined us with those thoughts. Still to come here on News Night. Churches and Christian bodies on high alert following reports West African nations, including Ghana, could be target of jihadist attacks.
And we as churches, we should also be alert.
I'm very, very alarmed. That's why the council, in collaboration with security experts, in fact, this is the job of the national security.
Details of that after business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, Bank of Ghana set to go after persons and institutions flouting laws that restrict the use of foreign currencies locally, as it directs public to only use the Ghana cedi as a medium of exchange in the country. And also we'll be telling you more about the impact the discovery of more gas in the West Cape 3 Point for the economy, as well as the entire energy sector. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Game over. Oh no, I lost again. Mommy, can you please buy me some coins for my game from Play Store? Please?
Kojo, how? I don't even have a debit card.
Hey, Mommy, don't you know you don't need a debit card to buy on Play Store? You can pay with MTN Momo.
Can I?
Yes.
Hey, Kojo, how do you know?
Mommy, everybody's talking about it at school.
Really?
You can now use MTN Momo to buy your favorite apps and games on Play Store. First, choose the app or game you want and select the MTN Momo option to pay. It's that simple.
Yes, I did it. Mommy, I won.
We day for you, everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Let us help you bank with the right bank. At First National Bank, we're more than just a bank. We're a digital partner that actually understands your business. Enjoy massive value with our various banking solutions. Get a business check account, a day-to-day transactional account for all businesses from all sectors of the economy. Access our online banking enterprise and bank your way 24/7. Invest with our short or long-term options that enable immediate access to funds. Optimize your cash flow, raise capital, and acquire assets with ease with our lending solutions. Trade with speed, consistency, and innovation with our global payments and forex solutions. With so much value up for grabs, there is no reason not to bank with First National Bank. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Honey, I need to get some.
But I don't have cash on me. Let me get some fuel quickly and let's go.
And how are you going to get the fuel? I thought you said you didn't have cash on you. What is this one?
My Puma card.
All it takes is a card. The Puma card allows you to buy fuel cash-free from all Puma energy filling stations. You can use your Puma card with any Visa points of sale and ATM across the country. The Puma card also works on mobile money. You get amazing discounts when you fill up with your Puma card. So register for free and get your Puma card instantly at any Puma filling station.
And you only got one for yourself, eh?
Yeah, would I have had that piece of mind?
Oh, thank you, honey.
And where are you going?
I'm getting something from the shop real quick. I need to test the card.
Puma card. Cash-free convenience.
Madam Atriba, the recent test shows your cholesterol level has normalized. You've stopped eating those fatty foods, eh?
Doc, in Chichorina. Oh, I've reduced it significantly.
That's very good.
Mara made change in my diet input. I now eat beans, garden eggs, okra, and the likes.
Really nice.
And when I cook with oil, I add required amounts of Frital vegetable oil to taste. It's a cholesterol-free oil and fortified with vitamin A.
Well done, Madam Atriba.
She, Mara Mabinu, Mabin Dread. Enjoy great tasting meals with Frital, your cholesterol-free cooking oil fortified with vitamin A. Frital, love your food, love your life. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Bank of Ghana has given the strongest indication that it would go after or go and enforce restrictions on the use of foreign currencies locally. Now, this was after it issued the public notice today, reminding the public that it is still illegal to price goods and services in foreign currencies. We explore some of the measures that the Bank of Ghana could be taking in the coming days.
Sources say the central bank will be moving soon together with the police and judiciary to prosecute one or two firms that are flouting the laws to serve as a deterrent to others. We understand that the Bank of Ghana is moving on with the flouting of the foreign exchange laws, which has contributed to the perennial depreciation of the city. The move, sources say, would also target institutions that accept foreign currencies as a mode of payment, as well as those that are advertising in currencies apart from the city. We're also learning that the central bank believes the time is right to enforce these laws, now that the cedi has witnessed some stability against the dollar. Other players in the foreign currency space, like the forex bureaus, would also be targeted. So businesses that are not complying, well, you may have to do that now before the Bank of Ghana gets you.
And that was a Business Desk report. Now, energy expert Ben Boachi says the entire energy sector stands to benefit from the latest gas discovery in the country. Italian firm, that is an oil exploration firm, ENI, today announced that it had discovered some significant gas deposits as well as oil. Now, Mr. Boachi says the move could convince other investors about the potential of the country's oil and gas sectors.
Be able to utilize the existing infrastructure by the same company, then that actually could ensure that we bring down the cost of gas, which will be good for Ghana and the power sector, and also be able to bring on stream other industries that can actually utilize cheaper gas. It also improves, the confidence in the Western Basin, where most of our oil finds are situated. So that actually encourages investors to look towards that terrain, So the blocks that are available could become more competitive, could become more attractive to investors, in those areas. So that is a good signal to investors to look at that area.
This discovery was made at the Akuma Well, that's 50 meters off the coast around the John Ajikum Kufuor FPSO, where it is located in our oil waters. Now, the former chief executive of MTN Ghana and the current vice president of MTN for the southern region, that is Ebenezer Asante, has been appointed as a non-executive member of Standard Chartered Bank Board. He is currently the vice president for the new region, which comprises of MTN's operations in Ghana, Uganda, Rwanda, Zambia, Southern Sudan, Botswana, and Swaziland, as well as MTN ISP in Kenya. He holds an BA Hunt in degree in economic statistics from the University of Ghana, postgraduate in diploma management. He's expected that he's going to bring his wide expertise in this area to help actually grow the bank here in Ghana. Now, government's agenda to actually boost the economies, the country from actually cash to actually electronic means has received a major boost. Now, this is because that is the EcoBank is partnering Visa to reward customers using its digital channels to transact business. Now, managing director of EcoBank Ghana, Dan Saki, says the bank is doing more to promote the use of Visa on its Africa continent. Sorry, inability to bring you that sound. Let's move on to other stories. And the visiting chief executive of mining firm Golden Star Resources Andreri is hinting of some exciting times for its mining operations in the country. Now, this follows some significant investment in its Prestea and Wassa mines in the country, which he believes that it has now gotten at a time that it could be bringing more returns to investors. Let's listen to him on why he's excited about times going forward for these operations.
Of our two mines, Wassa continued to perform strongly and slightly ahead of expectations in the first quarter and is positioning itself well to have another very good year. Whereas at Prestea, we faced a series of challenges, and our focus now as we go into the second quarter and the second half of the year is to analyze Prestea, to look at the challenges we're facing in terms of some of the productivities there, understanding the ore body better, and perhaps reworking our plans to ensure that we stabilize that operation, that it stops losing money, which it was in the first quarter, and then as we get to the back part of the year, recovers and gets on track with our expectations for it. It's high.
And that's the visiting chief executive of mining group Golden Star Resources, and the rate that is speaking there, sharing his thoughts about the operations here in Ghana. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
Success of our show. Trusted, innovative financial services, providing affiliation, support and solutions. Customer-oriented, superior services. The success of our show. 10 good years of loyalty, service with integrity, protective of our Ghanaian brand. 10 years of success, 10 years of loyalty. Your success of passion, oh yeah. Your success of passion.
Your success, our passion.
This is what you've been waiting for. The internet experience you've been dreaming about. Welcome to Vodafone's Gigabit Net. Music, pictures, and large documents downloaded in seconds. Lessons from your favorite online masterclass streamed right into your bedroom. With Vodafone's Gigabit Net, it's not downloading, it's downloaded. It's not sending, it's sent. It's not buffering, it's streaming. Switch to Vodafone and get the real 4G experience on Ghana's only Gigabit network. Get 100% bonus for every daily, weekly, or monthly bundle purchase via star 700 hash.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Thank you, folks. On my A list today, show some love for Contractor EB. So, Contractor, what do you think about the country's changing skyline?
Oh, send them down there, Yuma. Across skyline, they change you, papa.
Wow. Contractor, don't you get worried when you hear of buildings collapsing?
I'm out for an one on Tassam. It is the likability of using low quality product.
Please explain why.
Yeah, cement is no quality on the gasem. Village of Fefu. It was built with gasem. Says the gasem is your construction. See hot pumping. Sha N1, can you tell market? Go to Kano Kumasi Airport. Cape Coast Stadium. A trouble gas project in Gasebo. Messi, what the quality? You know what is quality?
Gasem, 3 cement grades, greater value. Gasem, the nation builder.
Winter is here. Yeah, baby.
Your was champion. I swear. But you know what? Speaking of hard girls, I just got off the phone with your lady. She's fine now. She's fine. I told her we'll call her back when you guys arrive.
Cool. Charlie, mommy definitely needs some TLC.
TLC. But that reminds me, Mother's Day is coming up on the 12th, right? What are we doing for her?
I know, sir. She has everything to the extent that now when you get her a gift and you come back 5 months later, it is still there, wrapped and not opened.
We need help.
We definitely need help.
Help is here. Your family station, Joy 99.7 FM, is putting together the Mother's Day lunch at Labadi Beach Hotel. Great music, checked. Buffet lunch, checked. Welcoming ambience, checked. And of course, a great place for bonding as well, totally checked. It's a specially curated event for mother and the whole family. So bring mom over and get her pampered. It's an experience that you'll all cherish for a long time. Single tickets are selling for 250 Ghana cedis, double tickets for 450, ticket for 3, 650, ticket for 4, 850. You can get them at Joy FM in Kokomlemle and also at the Watch Shop in the Prestige Hostel opposite the UPSA in Medina. Remember, it's on the 12th of May at the Manya Hall of the Labadi Beach Hotel. Lunch is at 1 p.m. Don't let mama's friends call her to tell her about it. Let her experience it for herself. For enquiries, you can call 0544 336 512. Joy 99.7 FM. We care about you.
Yes, so live you're on Joy 99.7 FM. This is News Night, and my name is Evans Mensah. Now, churches in Ghana are alarmed and should be on high alert. That's the reaction from the Christian Council of Ghana and the Charismatic and Pentecostal Council following reports that churches are likely targets of jihadist attacks. Now, a Bloomberg report revealed some of West Africa's biggest economies are increasingly vulnerable to attacks by Islamist militants whose influence is spreading to the inland borders of coastal nations. The report says Ghana and Ivory Coast, as well as smaller neighbors Benin and Togo, are strengthening security along their boundaries with Burkina Faso, which has seen a surge of attacks by Al-Qaeda and Islamic State-linked insurgents this year. My colleague Elton Brobe joins me in the studio with details. Elton, we know the Africa Center for Security and Intelligence Studies has issued a security alert. What are they saying?
So the alert says that over the past 4 months, the ACIS, that's the body you just mentioned, has been monitoring the activities of the Salafi jihadist group in Burkina Faso. Now, according to it appears the group has now shifted its attention to Christian churches. They've quoted the 28th of April 2019, the Salafi jihadists conducted their first attack on a church in Burkina Faso. Now, the group says that the analysis suggests that Salafi jihadists are looking to incite religious tension in Ghana and Togo. They're also planning to attack churches in countries such as Ghana, Ivory Coast, Togo, and Benin. Now, ACSIS analysts strongly suggest churches in Ghana are the immediate target. The group is looking to operate from illegal mining zones in the northern part of Ghana, as these places are considered to be the safest place for them to conduct their activities. Now, we must put on record that the Bloomberg report of today actually says that governments in countries they've described as heavyweight, Ghana and Ivory Coast, and then Burkina Faso and Togo, have improved their security in these borders, and it is to ensure that these jihadi groups do not have access to our country, and that is what our respective governments are doing to contain the situation.
Well, we're speaking to the the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. The president of the council, Reverend Professor Paul Yafrin-Pomanso, says 6 members of the church in Burkina Faso were killed by the jihadist group that launched the April attack. And he warned the security agencies to provide the public with education on how to identify and deal with such threats.
It was our own church that was attacked, and our people died, pastor and his family and others.
How many people died?
Yeah, about 6 people. That was recorded. I think it came on BBC. And we also had information from Assemblies of God offices. And I even spoke to the General Superintendent. That time I was in the U.S., so I spoke to him to express my condolence. And so as for the Burkina one, there is a fact I know which affected my own church. But then with Ghana, like what was saying, somebody just posted that information to me, and I've read it. So I'm really...
What's your general reaction based on what you read?
What I knew and what I saw in Burkina, I said this thing should be not treated lightly. And like we said, it has been sent to the security services. So I'm praying that all of them will be on board to find means of, curbing it. And we as churches, we should also be alert and be open-minded and also be circumspect in all that we do.
Talking of being alert, what is the Charismatic Council going to do to ensure that at least your members are safe, given what has happened in Burkina Faso?
Well, first, the Bible says, unless the Lord builds the city, the labor in vain that builds it, and unless the Lord watch over the city, the watchman will care about in vain. So first, we will ask protection from the Lord. 2, we need, I think this is the time we need to approach the security personnel for them to give a simple security education. People who come to us, they ask behavior, they are to see the kind of person they are. And we must not engage in, we should still encourage religious tolerance and dialogue.
Well, the General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, Reverend Dr. Cyril Fayose, says they are on high alert following reports of attacks on other churches elsewhere. He believes more should be done by the security agencies.
I'm very, very alarmed. That's why the council, in collaboration with security experts, in fact, this is the job of the national security, to alert churches and mosques, religious leaders, so that we'll be on the alert.
Have you been contacted?
No, I have not been contacted. But we have taken it upon ourselves, knowing what had happened in Cameroon, in Burkina Faso, in Sri Lanka, and all over the place. The world has become a global village. If it's happened in Sri Lanka, it can happen in Ghana. It has happened on the East Coast in Kenya and other places, Somalia and so on. So we must be alert. We must be aware of what is happening around the world.
Yes, you've taken some steps as a Christian body. What steps should the security agencies should be initiating at this moment?
I know that the security services are on the alert. In fact, I was invited to a security briefing as General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana. A security briefing about a couple of months ago, and some of these things were pointed out. But at this point, it's at the level of the security capos. And I know the security services in Ghana have sent people to different parts of the country to alert them. And I know they have also fought a number of imminent attacks. But having said that, we have to bring the information or the threat level down to the general public, not to scare anyone, but to make people aware, to be aware of their surroundings, aware of people they are fellowshipping with, and so on. And that is what we need. And at this point, nothing from the National Security Services.
Well, Bloomberg quotes the Director of Operations of National Security, Michael Opoku, as saying Ghana has done deployments along its borders in the north, and that includes the assignment of military staff, police, and personnel from the country's refugee authority to deal with any spillover from the situation in Burkina Faso. And so you have to be on high alert. If you see something, say something. If you see an item that is lying around, somebody who is suspicious, please call the police with this alert and warning that we are getting from the security agencies. Let's do some sports now, and there are 2 games to watch tonight, but Hans joins me with far more than that. Hello, Hans.
Hello, Evans. And of course, your team is not playing in the Europa League. You have to wait until next season to see them play in that prestigious competition. Right. So today marks 18 years since the death of 126 football fans at the Accra Sports Stadium during a game between Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko. Now, we've been holding memorials for the last 18 years to remember those who died in that tragic event, but has the thinking and actions of the Ghana football community been shaped by events of that fateful day. George Amwako is the CEO of Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
I cannot guarantee that the lessons have been learned. Just recently, you heard what happened at Brekum, what has happened at Doma, and what is happening elsewhere. We really need to learn lessons. A lot of education is important here. The structure of Kumasi Sports Stadium and Accra Sports Stadium makes it a bit difficult for hooliganism to come to the fore. And that is why the other centers should be made security friendly. When supporters misbehave and they are caught, they should be prosecuted. If you make football crime non-prosecutable, then everybody will commit the crime. But if you are caught, like yesterday, somebody threw water for unwarranted reasons and has been arrested by the police, we are looking forward to see what they will do. We have to set example. You go to a stadium which is principally an entertainment event, then you go and get killed, you go and get hurt. What's the sense in it? So we will not countenance this kind of hooliganism and violence. If anybody is arrested, it should be dealt with, and that will serve as a deterrent to others.
George Amwako is the CEO of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Now, we've got barely 3 days to the rematch between Isaac Dogbe and Emmanuel Navarrete in the United States. Now, the Royal Storm is in the US to continue with preparation for the fight. Joy Sports editor Nathaniel Lato is in Arizona and has been speaking to the Royal Storm.
I'm right in front of the suite where Isaac the Royal Storm Dogbe is lodging. Well, so let's go over and find out what Isaac the Royal Storm Dogbe is actually up to this very fine sunny morning here in Tucson, Arizona. Hey, my man, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great.
Great. Neho. Yeah, how's it been? How's it been in the last few days?
It's been great. You know, Tucson is a very beautiful place, Arizona. We're coming back to light up the place, so right now I'm just calm, just relaxed, just taking over the days and looking forward to Saturday, May 11th.
Okay. All right, my brother. I'll see you later. So that's it. He says Neho as always, and this is Joy Sports and Joy News' continuous coverage of the bout between Isaac the Royal Storm Dogbe and Emmanuel Navarrete.
Right, that's your sports.
Who's your money on?
Of course, Isaac Dogbe.
Okay.
Who's your money on?
Isaac Dogbe. I have not watched any of his fights before, but I think the last one I did.
The one he lost?
The one he lost. I think I watched it back on YouTube.
Right.
And he gave excuses for why it happened. And I guess from those who've watched him, and I've heard Nat say this a lot, I think he's learned the lessons. And he's going to put it
What I
into
can
practice.
say is that I've looked at him and compared his trim, how he looks now to what it looked like in the fight that he lost.
He looks meaner and slimmer
exactly,
now. Okay.
Fitter now.
Hans, thank you very much. We'll look forward to that. A few of your messages before we go. Dirty politics is what retrogresses Ghana. If something isn't done by one's political party, then no matter how good that thing may have been, we find no good in that. Today, Honorable A.B. Husseini has forgotten that during the Mahama presidency, senior high schools in the north always threatened to close down. Also says, this one from William says, what is the NDC trying to achieve by instructing Ghanaians not to cooperate with the police? When they come into power, will they expect Ghanaians to cooperate with the police they are undermining today? Dauda says, that's good decision by the NDC, and the MPP will be in the office, and MPP will not be in office forever. They should remember that government come and governments go. Those are a few of your messages on our WhatsApp console, and that's it for Newsnight tonight. My name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.